Hello, this is my first Mgtow video, of course, and I've been listening to Mgtow for some time now, and it seems that one Mgtow um, is basically both uninformed, would be literally considered as a fascist, and also claims to have some sort of schooling in psychology. And that, of course, one person is known as Angry Mgtow. Oh, Angry Mgtow. If you were really a success in education in the sense of psychology, you would know that regardless of what gender you are, doesn't matter if you're male or the ever destroying female, um, that you can accomplish many things if you believe in yourself. Yes, it may sound in the beginning of this video that I'm defending females. I'm not. Because I know there are many women, especially with the women's movement of 1972 to 78, many women are forgetting and basically ignoring the the fact that many women in the 1970s, like I said, from 72 to 78, marched and protested in a group known as the ERA. Be that, of course, to where they were marching and protesting for women's rights, equality, independence, and all the other positive things. That I know many men didn't have to do because, of course, this was even then known as a male-dominated society, as it is still now. To many men, especially those even white supremacists. But the one thing is, even in a male society, there's the base of equality for all, and it can be equality for all. Even when the one gender, be that of course to males, it's the female gender, but also to females, it's the male gender. That's not being very logical and realistic. Um, be that whichever the case, Tangri Mgtow, women can accomplish many, many things equal to men. And it is, yes, it's been said even in the 1980s that women can do just as much as men, if not better. That's a very old saying that you may not be aware of, regardless if you're 30 or 40 or whatever else, or even if you're Generation X, as you call it, or Y, or whatever. And even if you have been married or not, and even if you are currently or have been divorced or widowed, the basic fact is that both men and women can be one. Essentially, the first thing, men and women can be leaders in a relationship, not against each other, but in the support aspect. Okay, as long as both genders do not cheat on each other, and as long as they don't lie to each other, as long as they don't just do any deceptive actions and wordings and what have you, and as long as they don't sneak behind each other's backs and bullshit each other, among many other things. But the basic fact is also it starts with one. They have to respect and love and care for and about themselves, and be honest to and with themselves first off, in order for them to be the same way to their spouse. You want to call me not a Mgtow? I don't care, but I know I am in my own way. Because I know that women have there are women out there that believe that a guy should do whatever the woman says, and a guy should give anything the woman wants, as if everything is should be only beneficial for the woman but not the man. There was one saying that a woman said that a guy should be talking. I believe the amount was 20% of the time, and a woman should be talking 75% of the time. Wrong there. If the same woman is watching this video, in order for there to be an equal balance level in a relationship, or even in the start of a relationship, or even in any thought thought of a relationship between the two, and even before the start of one, there has to be understanding, compromise that benefits both, not just the one. Respect for both, not just the one. Honesty for both, not just the one. Be that again, respect, honesty, compassion, consideration, and also love, care, and also understanding of one's feelings and emotions. Be that, of course, share what you feel, share why you feel that way, or why you basically feel that you kind of view that you feel that way, and see if there's ways to where you can help one another out, even before and after starting a relationship, and during the relationship, and during and before and after and during the marriage. After starting the marriage, that is, and after starting the relationship, that is. The after part, anyway. Angry Mgtow thinks that women are incapable of doing what the male gender has done for maybe more than hundreds of years, in what made society in a labeling of a male dominated society. Wrong. I don't care if Angry Mgtow likes me or not, but I'm speaking logic, realistic, and also in the base of logic and realistic society and reality. Yes, I know, Angry Mgtow, you know what I look like. I don't care. I'm not afraid to hide it. I'm also an advocate. I advocate for equal rights for both men and women and children. I advocate for education. I advocate for many things, including employment. I advocate for every ethnicity out there, out in the real world. I don't care if you're Hispanic. I don't care if you're Caucasian. I don't care if you're Chinese, Japanese, whatever, African American, or whatever. I respect all of them. I consider each and every one of them, and even the Muslims, of course. I still consider each and every one, each and every person, both male and female, equal, even if they don't, even if the women or any percentage level percentage of men don't see that yet, they need to start too. I'm gonna tell you, angry Mgtow, I have been married. Yes, I'm not ashamed of it. And to the other Mgtow, even Sandman, I respect Sandman. so far. Of Mgtow anyway. And I can tell you, if you wanna know that there is not always a loss of emotions, financial stability, and or any psychological thing. But yes, the reason there have been, say, I would say, suicides, be that of course the ever popular, starting with the ever popular Russian roulette, or where people jump off the Golden Gate Bridge or any bridge for that matter, or generally jump off a building like a skyscraper of sorts, or even a moderate level building, whatever, and because they don't feel that they have anything else to offer people besides themselves in society, and that's a sad thing. I haven't majored in psychology actually, and in the sense of schooling, but there is ways to have a better understanding of many things, especially psychology, and you don't need to go to a fucking university for it. You don't need to have a fucking piece of paper of saying, "Oh, you graduated on these levels and on these," Yeah, you get a diploma for many different things in colleges, be that universities, both state and city and what have you. But one thing is, over the years outside, I have accumulated so much knowledge, and that's from experiencing many things as I live this life that I'm living. From the age of from the age of youth through teenage, through my 20s, through my 30s, through where I am right now. From the beginning part of where I'm at, of the age that I'm at, to where I'm at right now, of the age. And I'm not going to say the age, but because I know you should know I'm within that age. I'm not 50 or 60 or 70 or whatever, but the basic fact is I'm in between 30 and 50. The age line, anyway, if you want to call it that. And Grim Mgtow, you need to realize you may have so-called majored in it in your own thought, but and you still have anger issues outside the name of angry Mgtow. If you really want to consider yourself a Mgtow, dude, you need to realize you need to per, sometimes you need to put your personal attributes and feelings aside especially when you discuss any particular topic. And you need to say things calmly and rationally and logically. Because every woman does talk. It doesn't matter what age they are. They do talk. Children do talk, but once they get older, then they talk more deeply into deeper issues and situations and matters and what have you, in situations as well. And also, when they get a bit older in the teenage, then they go towards the relationship aspects, and they discuss it there with each other there, even even after a date or even after involved in meeting various type numbers of men and dealing with the positive and negative issues between with themselves and their parents and with their possible dating experiences. One thing. Also, in this information age, angry Mgtow, you need to realize the more you show fascism in what you say, and ignorance and stupidity as you have, and I've heard you. I've listened to you, I've listened to Sandman, and I've listened to many others. Sandman has more fucking calm and rationality than you do. You wanna call me a Mgtow? Cool. You can call me the logical Mgtow. Because I am speaking logic and realistic, and in the basic fact is, like I said, yes, I've been there. No, you don't lose everything. There's ways to where you don't lose everything, to where you are able to be on the same level, regardless of divorce or not, with the woman. And not just for the children, but for your own self and your own sanity, as well as for the woman and her sanity and her emotional what have you. And I'm going to tell you straight out, even though I consider myself a MGTOW, I do keep in contact with my now ex, not for only for the children, but because I am a very caring person. Not because I'm an advocate either. I was raised by women, yes, but I'm not. I'm not defending a woman. I'm defending the basic logic of all things. Now, many men always have a thought, well, if she's this way, then maybe all women are this way. There are women that are willing to compromise. There are women that are able to be on the same level as the man. As long as the man is logical, realistic, considerate, respectful, and honestly loving and caring. And as long as both sides do not cheat and do not do each other wrong in any way, then yeah, the marriages can last just as long, if not longer, like many marriages that were started, say, in the 1920s through this year and the years before. There's been many marriages that senior citizens have had that have had their ups and downs, like any marriage does, like any relationship does. But the basic fact is, they never did anything wrong. Most of them, and they still supported and cared for and stayed with one another, and not just for the kids, because they felt they truly loved the person and really cared for and about the person. Therefore, they knew that they were loved and cared for as well. It has been said, also angry Mgtow, that many marriages should go the way that have lasted long for the adults from the 1920s and 30s that have been still married and are still married, and even the ones that have been around are still married since the 50s, 60s, 40s, and 70s. In any case, it's true. It stands to be true, and yet I do understand and I do see why many men don't see why women are not taking heed to that same logic It's because they're trying to find ways to better things. But the one thing is that the only way you can make things better, and this is for both men and women on this one, the only way you can make things better for you, as well as your marriage or relationship, or be that spouse or future spouse, whichever the case, you need to again do not do anybody wrong. Do not do each other wrong. Do not cheat on each other. I don't care if you get offers by why are you with him or why are you with her, type of thing, whatever. You don't need to explain yourself. Just say, hey, we love each other, we care about it, and we're honest with each other, and we respect each other. We are able to sit down and relax and talk amongst each other and help each other out and support each other, in which basically many marriages and relationships should do. But yet in society, not very many people see that. I respect everybody regardless of their opinions, but if they turn out to be completely fascists, they need to be taught the actual reality of things. Even if they talk in a fascist way, but yet still intend to be with a woman on any level or in any form and in any way in the possible or to near future. So, angry Mgtow, I respect you as a person, but you really need to learn the things that I said because they're more than fact, more than logical, more than realistic, and more in the aspect of reality. And it doesn't matter if you're from Canada, it's still the same thing. Even if you're not in Canada, even if you're overseas in wherever, even in the United States or even in Mexico or wherever, it's still the same. Everything I said is still the same. And it still has to be the same logic and truth and fact. So, in all aspects, is that both men and women need to have a common ground, or even more stable than a common ground. Because even in today's information age, the common ground seems to be unstable for some, if not all, if if not most. I can tell you I am currently single, but basic like this is that not very many women have given me the time of day, as it's been said, or even the chance to actually show, regardless of my situation, both financial and otherwise. Um, they haven't given me the chance to show what I can and am and are willing to do. But the same thing has to be that there has to be a big, basic and logical, realistic, equal base and level on their side as well as mine. And besides, of course, besides mine. If we're always going to stay, if the man and woman stays on the same page with one another, even if it's read differently to them, to each other, but it still means the same respect, consideration, love, care, and understanding and honesty, then everything should be smooth sailing. Like on the Pacific Princess, known as the Love Boat. And I'm not going to I'm not going to mention Carnival Cruise Lines on that one because Carnival Cruise Lines has had negative issues to where one topside and eventually went underwater after they evacuated a number of people, even while it was on the side years ago. Of course, that wasn't the fault of Carnival Cruise Lines, the company or organization, but it was the fault of the drunken idiot who was the captain and also possibly the navigator. And if they hate me for saying that, I don't give a damn. It's the damn truth. Each cruise line is responsible for more than hundreds, if not thousands, of lives besides their own. And if they're not able to balance things out and keep their home personal life at home, like everybody should, even if you're not in the same industry of a Carnival Cruise Line or the Pacific Princess or whichever, or even an airline for that matter, or train or whatever else, then you shouldn't be in that. You shouldn't be working at all. You should be on supplemental security or what's known as welfare until you're able to emotionally stabilize within yourself to start with and know the wrongs, the true and logical wrongs and rights of things, especially when it comes to keeping your home life home to start with while you're at work and while you're employed. Angry Mgtow. I'm going to tell you also, I do support the ERA, but yet, sadly, my experience so far in starting with online encounters, as it were, with women, it has been to where they have been completely disfiguring the real reason why the women of the early to late 1970s march and protested for them for equality, independence, freedoms and rights for all women from then on and even before then. Many women have, even today, in today's day and age, and hopefully not the next century, hopefully by the next century, things would be totally different, but who's to say? But in any case, in today's day and age to start with, they've been disfiguring it to what fits the woman, where they still expect things to be given to them as they did many years before, even several years before. But the basic fact is that they want things to be leveled out, um, in a positive level for them, while they're in a relationship. And yet, there's been many women who have done many things wrong because they're either unhappy or dissatisfied, um, or what have you else, and reason why they started cheating, or they don't feel that the man really understands them, or even respects them and cares or loves them, what have you else. The one thing is that many women need to realize and haven't realized is that in order to actually be respected, in order to be understood, and and loved and cared for, you cannot go behind your boyfriend's back. For when this is for women, you cannot go behind your boyfriend's or fiance's back, or even husband's back, or even future husband's back, and and basically cheat on, commit adultery in the spiritual sense. And yes, it is considered adultery regardless if you're married or not. It is considered spiritually adultery if you are in a relationship at on any level. So, and you need to also, this is for both men and women on this one, you need to really take the time and don't fake it, don't bullshit each other, don't don't act like you truly understand or care or what have you else in the positive emotional aspects and psychological aspects. Really, truly have that actual feeling of understand, respect, consideration, all that. When you sit down with your spouse, your future spouse, your boyfriend, fiancés, and actually talk things through calmly, rationally, and logically. And if there may be a number of hit and misses. I'm not going to say how many because it varies for per person, different couples in relationships. It could. I wouldn't really go to the points of a hand palm reader either in finding. Does he really understand me, or am I really going to be with the same person I am with, or is there a different path? Same thing with the damn crystal ball. And don't base your relationships on those either. Not even tarot cards. Not even horoscopes. Because those are only about you, your birth sign. It has, I mean, the horoscopes to start with are only about your birth sign, not about your spouses. And yes, even if your birth sign is the same, each one is told differently regardless, because each one goes to reads a different, shall we say, texting of it, or typing or writing of it. The general fact is, is that you need to really, really take the time. Yeah, procreation can still happen, but but there's always gonna be a rape because men still have the same hormonal urge equal to women. Although women are able to, or supposedly able to, so-called control it more than men, or so it's said. The basic fact is men can control it equal as well as women, but in society's aspect is that men are at times they still are shamed, yes, or even questioned for that. But women are equally done that way if they're single. But they're not as there are many that are not as harshly shamed or questioned when it comes to being with somebody and not being with somebody. So generally, there's a misconception on many different issues and avenues. Mispreoccupation of things, and when it comes to relationships, uh, let's put it this way: there's differences, different understandings, and different thoughts per gender, and they're not all the same in those two genders because each one has their own mindset. Some are logical, some are not. But I'm not here to judge. And also, logically, even the angry Mgtow, there's no reason to judge, and it's not logical to judge either. There's a saying that I remember Spock saying on Star Trek, along with James T. Kirk, aka Will or Bill Shatner. Be it, of course, Bill Shatner or Will Shatner and Leonard Nimoy. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. In order for there to be the many, both sides of the one, both the male and female, need to be staying on the same page, even if it's worded differently, metaphorically, in order for things to work to start up. And I mentioned that earlier of how that is to be. If you need to replay this video, fine, go for it. But it's going to be word. It's going to be coming out the same as I said it. No matter how many times you play this video. And it's still going to be the same logic and realistic and reality aspects and facts. Even if you weren't truly paying attention at first, you need to, because this whole thing can and could more than quite possibly save humanity and human and woman, or at least in the female sense, womanity, if you want to word it that way, that is. Humanity is not manity, like man, the man, the male aspect of humanity. Humanity consists with both male and female, or for women's thoughts, female and then male. Be that still either way, it's still equal, it's still balanced, it's still level. So logically, angry Mgtow, I respect you as a person, and I will still advocate for your rights as I have for everybody else since 2004. Of course, then my advocating labeling was NCHA, but now it's CRPHA. And to have a rebalance in thought of logic. Regardless if you have your own thought of the way women are. Yeah, there's going to be an illogical and logical base and level to many of the two genders, including transgender. And I will always respect and advocate for transgender as well, because they're also human beings. But the basic fact is that in order for things to work out between male and female, one cannot expect more from the other and expect to get it whenever they feel they should get it and receive it. And most of that aspect goes towards the itemization, materialism that many men have seen women as. Yes, there's materialism when it comes to men, but in society, apparently, always according to when it consists of men, it's not so heavily talked down as it is with women, or pertaining to women, essentially. There are so many housewives that deserve equality, respect, uh, mm, all the all the positive emotional levels and psychological positive levels, but also sometimes don't feel, if not all the time, don't feel like they've received it or gotten it outside of materialism aspect, and even along with the materialism aspect. You don't need the basic fact is women don't realize you don't need to have a rich, wealthy person in order to be happy. You don't need to have one that has loads of fucking cash in order to feel that you're stable, both emotionally and financially, and also solid. That whole thing is a myth. If women don't agree with it, I don't care, but they're gonna find out. They're gonna have to find out sooner rather than later, and wait, and before it's too late for them to even reinitialize things, as it were, to where they have a different mindset when it comes to that before it gets too late. Because once they hit a certain age, as the old saying goes, the biological clock will stop ticking for women. The biological clock for men, on the other hand, has been said, oh, it keeps on rolling. That right there is a load of horse shit. The biological clock ticks equally as much, and it starts ticking, I'd say around the same time, if not before or after the start of a female's biological clock. But the one thing is, it is for certain numbers of men, as well as it is for certain numbers of, if not most, women, and then with men on this one too. The biological clock starts ticking earlier, and it stops ticking earlier for women than it does men, certain men anyway. And sometimes it's equal, sometimes it's semi-equal on that one. Each one is different because each person's biological um, by by the biology within the person, be that of course inside the human body essentially is different than many others, regardless if you're the same gender or not. And it's the same thing for transgenders too. Many women think, well, why do you think we have, why do you think women started marrying women and men started marrying men? I can tell you honestly, there's many illogical reasons, regardless of even if they seemed to be logical, even in the beginning, but they'll always be illogical, regardless of the mindset. But nonetheless, I still respect them. And believe me, I'm straighter than the line of the the gravitational line that holds the planets in the universe in line to where they are able to stay stable and everything. I'm straight, and I will always stay straight. But the basic fact is, you could be straight, gay, bisexual. Um, of course, if you're bisexual, then you're sin, and you sin, of course, spiritually. And it doesn't matter if you're religious or not; you still sin. And if you do cheat, just because you're unhappy or dissatisfied in a relationship, you sin. And it was contemplated that in one Mgtow video that women will have a, shall we say, leeway when it comes to Heavenly Father and our Savior, saying of one person saying, "Well, I'm sorry, I apologize for sleeping with this many men. That was not really my intention," and then a free pass to the pearly gates, as it were. The basic fact is if you cheat and if you do ungodly things, it doesn't matter what it is, you will you will be equally punished, just like the male or female, any other female or male, essentially. Heavenly Father does not give leeway, regardless of the gender. Although in my religion, and I'm not going to mention religion because it's nobody's business but my own. So right now, but many of my friends know my religion. But in any case, my religion has said one time that women have an easier chance of getting into heaven more than men. It could be due to the mothering, the the aspect of they're able to they're able to nurture. They're seen as nurturers more spiritually than men are. But the one thing is that there are many skeptics saying, well, how can a male be nurturers equal to the woman if the woman is going to be illogical and not not realistic and also start being incompatible emotionally as well as psychologically? Now that one right there is a good question. I believe that a man can be equally the same level of a nurturer to a child or children equal to a woman. But the one thing is, society is not seen to be giving them the chance. Women have not been given them the chance. Women may say, "Oh yeah, we've been giving them the chance," but they keep on screwing up. They keep on doing what we don't want them to do. Everything should go on to everything should go for the woman and be given to the woman before the man. The man should be second, and the women should always be the children and women should always be first. The basic fact is, women, and I mean this with all honesty, respect, and logic. Even if you are not married with a child, even if you are married or divorced or widowed with children or a child, logically, number one, the child or children Always, it will not change. It will not change to the woman. It will not change to the man. When you have a child, it goes child, then mother, then father. But that's the equal aspect to it. It doesn't go child, then mother, then father, in the illogical way, or like basically until the mother decides, then will be the father. It doesn't go that way either. Okay, it goes equal, child, mother, father, logically, without being materialistic and illogical and sinful, and with all honesty and respect, consideration, understanding, and all that I've mentioned several times before in this video. If you're able to do that, then believe me, you'll see that it goes child, woman, and man. Although men could easily see it as child, man, then woman, because the women are seen as nurturers, so they should be able to nurture the men. Actually, the woman is the nurturer, but also the man is the nurturer as well. I may be the cause to some people. I may be the cause of imbalance, some sort of science of imbalance when I say that, but I'm not. Logically, I'm telling you the truth, facts, and reality of all things, and also that go into actual logic. Even Spock himself would say it. And I know one other thing Spock would say, not Dr. Spock. I'm talking Spock from Star Trek. If there was a Spock in actuality of the Vulcan species, that it is logical to want things, but you would have to go towards the wanting things in the logical way, not the illogical way, not because you feel you are entitled to it. Entitlement is not logical. There's entitlement on other things that can be seen as logical, but when it comes to being entitled to get things from men for women, there's a there's a line to be crossed, and every time, sadly, women, you've crossed it more than one time over the years. That's why women has started cheating for one. That's why there's been the so-called feminism, because women feel that they're entitled to things, even if it's on a even if it's on a not realistic and not logical level and base, but they always look at it that even if society and men see it as irrational, illogical, and not realistic, they view it differently. They view it as illogical. Women, it is not, and I'm being honest with you, and with all respect and consideration, it's not. Men are entitled to many things, but you don't see them bitching and forming coalitions or collaborations or groups just to make sure they get it. There are men that are more in the aspect of bitching and moaning when it comes to that, equal to women on that aspect of bitching and moaning. That is because they are not able and willing to see the real, true logic of things and the way things should and can be if given a chance. But until that happens, until that chance, particular thing happens, it will never be. Until until both genders wake up and realize that reality of it. And I'm not saying this to impress people, both the same gender as I am and or women, in order to get a woman. I'm being honest. Regardless if you agree with me or not, I don't care if you're a male or a female, and if you agree with me or not, I don't care. But I would say the same thing as a teenager. I would say the same thing as a person in their 20s. I would say the same thing if I was still in my 30s. I would still say the same thing even as a child, because I know there are many children that are coming to be to where they have the same type of knowledge as I do. But of course, society and also a number of parents are not giving the child or children the benefit of the doubt of their own intelligence. And that's another thing that needs to change. Heck, I'm fighting my mother at times when it comes to what I know and what compared to what she knows. But I still love and respect her, and I still love and respect my father, even though he's no longer around. And no, angry Mgtow didn't go to the point to where my mother literally nagged him to death, although that's not the actual case when it comes to other males and females, married or not. Death happens because either the person's fed up with life, as I said before earlier in this video, where they feel that they have nothing else to contribute to anybody or even society or the world. And sometimes it comes to the points of the natural, and sometimes it comes out of the blue where people get shot and not expecting it to be shot or stabbed or in physical hand-to-hand combat aspects, especially when it comes to the job that you're in and positions and what have you. Even if you're a regular Joe or Jane, as it were, and you go across the street or go in a supermarket or a mini market and or across the street and you get either slammed or basically turned into a roadkill essentially and or shot or stabbed, whichever the case. Doesn't go that way. It goes to the points that work and goes to what I said, which happens out and even today's world. And also when it comes to death, it's also natural as well as when it comes to infestations of diseases due to various different things like rat bites and sexual diseases, as it were, or as it's seen even in today's day and age. But also, more often than not, it's natural when it comes to death. Hopefully, I cleared that up for you, angry Mgtow, on especially on the other things I've mentioned here. And yes, angry Mgtow, there's a base of equality for all, not just the one. And women, yes, can still choose to go to the so-called 50s and 60s and 20s and 30s version of housewife, the kitchen, but they also need to be respected, loved, considered, and many other things within logic. And also, they are entitled to that. And with that, there comes gifts when it comes to itemization and various other things, but mostly emotional. I think that I believe that would be more of what women expect is more emotional entitlement, way over the this known to many men, where it's itemization entitlement. And many women go towards itemization in order to feel that they've gotten that type of respect and consideration from men. When really, many of them, if not all, don't feel that they're getting the enough or the equivalent to enough of the emotional entitlement of respect, consideration, understanding, and on, besides the love and care. But of course, they may say, well, women may say, yeah, we're giving that to men, but there are many men out there that are able and have been saying that's bullshit. Yeah, many men have worked their asses off for the woman. Yes, women have worked their asses off for both, if not just themselves if they're single. But if they're married, they've been working their asses off for both. Same with men. And the men have been working their asses off just to be with the woman. But the basic fact is that a man should not have to work their asses off just to be with a woman and prove his self worth. Because everybody has a self worth regardless of if they're working their asses off or not, or is working to their best abilities. It should be They should be respected and considered and loved and understood and cared for in every other positive emotion, regardless if they're working their asses off or working to their best abilities and their best level, and and leave it at that without expecting the non-reality and non-logical things. Both men and women need to realize that equally, and so do you, Mgtow, angry Mgtow that is. So logically, angry Mgtow, you should know that I have more knowledge than you. And when it comes to psychology, I don't need to be in any educated base of, oh, a psychology major. Because if you think I do, then replay this and see if you still have the same thought. I can guarantee you don't, and you will not. Because the more you even experience life in the real world out there, outside the information age of the net, you'll see that I'm right. And yes, there are many relationships that have felt that they have no other alternative. And yes, there are many relationships that are still out there that they know that they have the alternative, but are happy for who and where they're at, even in the basic relationships. And there are many that on the same level that don't feel that they're forced or obligated, even if they do or do not have children, even at that point in time, or be that any point in time. You don't need to have children to be happy. You need to have yourself as well as a companion to be happy. You can also be happy with yourself, and if even if you're by yourself, and you can still date, yeah. But I mean, that goes without saying. So hopefully, I open the doors for many people, including Angry Mgtow. If Angry Mgtow wants to comment, go for it. Comment on the bottom of this video screen. But I can guarantee you the more that each and every gender, both male and female, it doesn't matter who the hell you are, doesn't matter what ethnicity or race or whatever that you are, you'll still experience the same thing that I've said. Maybe at a different point in time in your life, but still, the more I can guarantee you'll experience it way before it's too late. But you got to give yourself a chance in order to actually experience many different things and to even witness many different things even within yourself and for yourself. And when it comes to men and women, both single, married, divorced, widowed, and about to be married, engaged, or whatever. If you want me to do another Mgtow topic or advocating thing, please let me know. Also, ladies and gentlemen, on the bottom of this one, as well as my advocating videos of CRPHA, as well as my one and only and last NCHA video. Thank you, have a good day, and live long and prosper.